All right, pressure's on now. All right, so for those of you that don't know, Windreach Farm has been around for just over 30 years. And what our mission is to provide therapeutic programs using a farm environment for people of all abilities. So we started with some pretty humble beginnings. We were really just a farm that was meant to be accessible to anybody that wanted to come out. So not your typical farm experience where it wouldn't be really the least bit accessible, but really a place with accessibility at its forefront. And really it was just a place where you could come, appreciate the nature, meet some animals, and just sort of have a day outside experiencing something that able-bodied folks would be able to do any day of the year. Over 30 years, it's expanded tremendously. You can see started 1989 by Sandy Mitchell. 1990s, like I said, was just day visits. Over the past 20-30 years, we've added a number of programs, which I'm going to go through shortly. But you'll see the end of my timeline is 2019 because I refuse to recognize 2020 as a normal year. But in a regular year at this point, we're seeing over 10,000 people coming to the farm in some capacity. So really a ton of growth over the past 30 years. Now, before I jump into our programs, I did want to show a brief history for us and your club. A number of years ago, right before I started at the farm, you guys actually supported one of our programs, the Beyond the Farm Gate program. So that's our initiative that takes some of our smaller animals out into the community, our bunnies, our guinea pigs, and our chickens. And we go to schools, we go to seniors' homes, we go to addiction recovery clinics, women and children shelters, basically anywhere that there are groups that would like to access our services, but can't make it out to the farm either because of their numbers or because of things that they're going through. But we don't want to miss out on those folks. So we bring the farm to them. And we wanted to thank you guys for supporting that program in the past. All right. So our programs are wide ranging. We've got adult day programs, therapeutic riding, horticultural therapy. We have a visitor program for both visits during the day and overnight stays at the farm. I talked about the Beyond the Farm Gate program, and we do also have a summer camp for the little folks. So our adult day programs, they're primarily for young adults. We don't differentiate. We've had folks in the program that are in their 50s or 60s. But mostly what we see in these programs are people that have aged out of the school system and maybe are able to join the workforce in a limited capacity or maybe not at all. But really, they deserve the opportunity to continue their learning, continue their social development, and their families really need the respite and have somewhere for them to go during the day and make new friends and learn new things. So those are the folks that make up those programs. We see when things are normal between 30 and 50 participants in these programs per week. We have a different group that comes up every day, Monday through Friday, and they take part in a wide range of activities. But obviously the primary one that really draws them to the farm is the opportunity to interact with the animals, learn how to care for them, and learn about how to care for and manage a farm. But we throw a lot of other fun activities, arts and crafts, talent shows, sports games into the mix as well. Our therapeutic riding program is probably the one we're most well known for. We offer riding lessons for people as young as 2 years old up until any age where folks are still safely able to ride. So you sign up by season. We don't offer one-off lessons because it really is meant to be a developmental program, which requires at least a season's worth of lessons, but we typically see folks come back season after season. Again, in normal times, we have anywhere between 80 to 120 riders per season, much busier in the spring and fall and a little quieter in the winter and summertime. But we do have a heated indoor arena, which allows us to run that program all year round. We have a horticultural therapy program. That's our newest initiative, only been around for a few years. It's a very similar idea to our other programs, except instead of focusing really around the bond with the animals, what we're doing is creating positive relationships for our participants with plants. So we give them the opportunity to learn how to plant something, how to nurture it, how to harvest it. And we see a lot of benefits in this program with groups that are dealing with mental health issues specifically. So we have groups that come in with eating disorders. And what we do is try to realign their relationships with food and try to create positive relationships there. We see stroke victims come back that are trying to get their motor skills back to where they used to be. We see groups with various forms of dementia come up because the task-oriented activities that we do are really helpful in helping them retain the amount of memory that they still have. So this program has a ton of potential and is the one that is the fastest growing. We're actually just finishing up building a greenhouse for this now. So very, very excited to see where this program is going to go. Our visitor program, like I mentioned off the top, was our original program, still the one that sees the most people. Our visitor program is open to groups of all shapes and sizes. Sizes will be returning. Right now, they're limited to groups of 25 or less. But these visits are primarily taken up with visits with the animals, wagon rides around the farm, and tours of various parts of the farm. The stables tour is a very popular component of the visitor program. I won't talk too much about that because Keith is our resident stables expert on the call and I don't want to steal his thunder. But folks also have an opportunity to stay overnight on the property in one of our 2 accessible suites. So we have 2 suites where families or group homes can come and stay where they don't have to worry about the accessibility component of going somewhere overnight. Everything is built to suit their needs, and they can also incorporate some time with the animals and in our programs while they're there. Beyond the farm gate, I touched on a little bit earlier. Again, it's just going off site with some of our smaller animals. We've got a beautiful van that's covered in animal photos that we drive around the community that maybe you've seen us in, and always looking for new groups to get out and visit with this program. Right now, we're focused on parking lot visits so that we can safely interact with folks, but looking forward to getting back into facilities again soon. And summer camp. Summer camp is a popular one at the farm. We're excited to say that we are offering a reduced version of summer camp this year, smaller groups and very specific cohorts to minimize the number of contacts that kids are having when they're up. But the kids come up from July to August. It's an integrated camp, so we get folks primarily that have either an intellectual or physical disability. But the nice thing is it gives them the opportunity to go to camp with their cousins, their friends, their siblings that don't have a disability. And we find that's beneficial for everybody, because for the kids that are growing up as quote unquote able-bodied, it really opens their eyes to the spectrum of ability that is out there, what people are capable of, and really, growing up with an understanding of how we're all different and how we can all still benefit from the same programs. All right, now my shameless plug. We've got a drive-through experience coming up on Friday and Sunday. This has been our pivot from our typical special events, where we usually have hundreds of folks roaming around the farm, petting the animals, going all over the place. It was our 2020 saving grace. We've got all sorts of roads throughout the farm, which gives us the opportunity to set up themed experiences for families to come up and safely interact with the farm. So the next one is coming up just this weekend on Friday, July 9th and Sunday, July 11th. And then the following one will be in August on the 13th and 15th. If anybody here is looking for a fun volunteer experience where you can sort of space out distance and spend a day outside, definitely ask Joe for my contact info, because we'd love to get you involved. Or if you're looking for something to take the family to, starticketing.com. All right, shameless plug over. A couple other events coming up. We do have a golf tournament coming up in August. Sponsorship opportunities still available for that one. Going to be hosted at the Royal Ashburn Golf Club. Any information on that, whether you're interested in participating, volunteering, if you got any leads on raffle items, Carol is our lead on that event, and that is her email address down there, which I'm sure Joe can share with anyone who is interested. And last but not least, on the event side, we also have a gala coming up in September. Doesn't seem like the right time to be having a huge in-person gala quite yet, so we're going to be trying the virtual approach. A lot of organizations have seen some success with this, So it'll be a combination of live and pre-taped content. I'm going to feature some musical entertainment, a live auction. Should be a lot of fun. And again, Carol, once again, is our contact on that. And that's her email. And we've got a campaign going on. Keith, I'm coming right at you in a sec. We're looking to raise $4.6 million over the next 3 years. The idea being that we have a standalone foundation that supports us tremendously. And over the years, we've leaned on them quite a bit to support us with operational funding to sort of fill in the gaps so that we don't have to charge such high fees for our programs. But they're really taking a targeted approach to try to build up some funds and build up an endowment fund to set up a much more sustainable future for the farm. So funds raised over the next 3 years will support operations, capital improvements, and start to build that endowment fund. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Keith to share with us briefly his Windreach story. We have over 300 volunteers at the farm, and without them, we would never be able to offer all of these wonderful programs and interact with all the wonderful people that we do in the community. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Keith share with you what Windreach has meant to him and how he came to be at the farm. Over to you, Keith.
Okay, I'm not sure how this works. This is my first experience with Zoom, so okay, I think that's me. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm Keith Brettell. I'm a volunteer at Windreach. I've been at Windreach since about 2006 is when I started, and my story kind of starts with finding out about Windreach and the stable kind of on a fluke. Somebody just happened to mention to me that, you know, Windreach had a stable, and knew that I was a lifelong horse person and thought I might be interested in volunteering. So I got in touch with Kelly, and that got the ball rolling, and here we are all these years later. I'm involved in quite a few things at the stable, you know, obviously our riding lessons, group lessons, private one-on-one lessons, our adult day program. That's one of the things that they come and do, is they'll come down and do some activities with the horses once a week. And I'm there basically just to, you know, support the volunteers that are not horse people. I'm there to help get the horses ready for lessons, grooming and tacking up, so putting the saddles on, bridles on, just making sure that they're ready on time. And my experience, you know, it's been almost indescribable. The opportunities that I've had, you know, I came to Windreach with a little bit of horse experience, you know, I riding lessons as a kid and whatnot. But in all these years later, you know, I've been given the opportunity to learn and do so much. I never would have guessed, you know, all these years later. You know, I just to tell you a little story, we've got a horse named Max, and this happened a few years ago. Anyways, I hadn't had the opportunity to work with him because he just wasn't in the lessons that I was volunteering with. And so I said to the lead instructor at the time, you know, I want to handle Max a little bit because I think we're going to start using him. And so she said, okay, take him to the wash stall. And if you've ever been to Windreach, it's a straight run with a right hand turn, 180-degree spin in the wash bay, and you're there and it's done. Well, Max had other ideas. Max, bit of a character and new to each other, you know, and he wanted to go exploring. So we looked in every corner, every doorway, everywhere but the wash bay. And about 5 minutes later, with the lead instructor kind of just off to the side, but letting me try and figure it out myself, said, oh, let's reset the situation here and start over. So I got him back to his stall. She gave me some pointers, and as easy and as quick as that, it was a straight run, a right turn, and a 180-degree spin in the wash bay, and we were there. It was done. But thanks to Windreach, I've had opportunities to do and to learn. Without Windreach, I wouldn't have the horse experience that I have today, and it's thanks to places like Windreach that I'm able to do it. And in all these years, I have learned and done so much, and a lot of it, it seems like little things here and there, and they really are, but they add up, and over time they add up to a whole lot. And anyways, I really enjoy being there. Horses are my passion. I've been a lifelong horse person. I'm started riding when I was just a little kid. I don't know if you can see behind me there, the ribbons and stuff. Those are my horse show ribbons, because that's just as long as I've been riding. And it was really exciting to get the opportunity to come and volunteer at Windreach. And I don't know what I would do if I couldn't volunteer there, couldn't be around the people and the horses. Anyways, I think that's pretty much what I had to say. So if throw it back to Ross or to Joe, that would be good.
Thanks very much, guys. Keith, I understand. We all understand the importance of volunteering. So, we're glad that you found that's meaningful to you, and we're all on that boat. Ross, if you don't have anything else, maybe we can open it up to some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wayne, I see your hand first. Oh, you're muted though, Wayne.
I was just wondering where the farm is located.
So we're just on the northern edge of Whitby. So we're literally the other side of Town Line Road is the northern edge of Whitby, and we're just on the very south edge of Scugog. So just between Lake Ridge and Route 12.
Thank you.
Good. Joe?
Yeah, I have a question for Keith. Keith, what is it about horses? I don't know if you can put that into words or if it's just a feeling. What is it about horses that just keeps drawing you in?
Well, I'm a wheelchair user. I know you can only see from, waist up, but horses basically put me on a level playing field with my peers, because it gets me out of my chair, into the saddle, where I can do anything I want, and I can do it with my peers. So, the freedom, the independence, that's a large part of it. What I get out of horses.
But there are a lot of people who they love horses. They have a second sense to be able to communicate with them. Are you able to do that?
I do. There's just something about horses, and I don't know. They call it horse whispering or intuition or whatever. Horses have. Horses, of course, they communicate non-verbally, so there's all kinds of little things. But yeah, it's tough to describe, how much or what horses mean to me. But like I say, in a very simple sense, it gets me out of my chair and puts me on a level playing field with my peers.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else? I'm trying to scan here. Oh, Ken.
Ross, I was just going to check. We still have space in our summer program?
For riding, we're all full up for the summer. We actually started our summer program just yesterday, but definitely looking for more folks for fall, particularly because we're going to be expanding our numbers again in fall when we think everyone's had a chance to get vaccinated and we can have more people around each other.
Okay.
I'm just scanning. Sorry, making sure I'm not missing anybody. If I am, speak up. No, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to be with us. I remember when we were still in person. I remember you guys coming to the meeting and hearing about the program that we were supporting, and it was incredible. So we look forward to hopefully being able to come to the farm. Be a great outing for us. And yeah, Joe, if you want to just share the email for anybody who might want to help out or even go on this weekend to the farm, that would be great. But
Ross,
yeah,
Ross, can I post your email?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for having us, guys. And yeah,
yeah,
hopefully we can
thank
have
you.
all
You're
up
welcome
the
to stay
farm
on,
for
or
you.
if you've got things to do, we understand. So thanks very much, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great meeting.
Thanks very much.
All right. All right, so we've got some time here for some happy bucks. Anybody?
I do.
Oh, I see Rachel and Pauline.
You can go first, Pauline.
Okay, age before beauty, right? I was very happy yesterday to be in the grocery store and hear a voice saying, Pauline. And I turned around and I see this mask and I thought, who is that? Leanna. So it's amazing. We see new members join, and because of Zoom, we haven't seen them physically. And to see her physically, I stood back and I did that, and I thought, yeah, that's Leanna. Little Zoom thing. And it was
so nice
just
to see you.
so lovely to bump into her and finally meet person to person.
Oh, you were so cute.
She's not that cute, Leanna.
Oh, yes, she is.
I had my little hat on with a P on it.
I recognized her because she had her little t-shirt. She was golfing and it said Lassie something. It was cute. And she's Scottish. Anyway, I knew who it was.
Store finds, yeah. Okay. I'm going to give a happy buck. I think quite a few of us were at the district awards.
Feeling better today? So sorry, I did go to the hospital yesterday.
And just a shout out to the last year's summer squad, all the work they did and the promotion on PR. Our club out of the district got the Public Image and Relations Award. So yeah, so that was really exciting. Nice to be recognized by the club, and really good work from the summer squad last year. And just another comment, encourage everybody, especially the new members. The district events can be really fun. You meet a lot of people. I encourage you, sign up for the Tuesday talks, sign up for a lot of these events. If the Leadership Institute comes up again, I took it last year. It's really interesting. You meet some pretty amazing people. So feel free to ask me about it if you're interested, and go on the 7070 website and you can see all the events coming up, and definitely encourage you to attend these.
Big thumbs up from John Burns there. Is there any other happy bucks before we? Oh, Ken and Wayne, I see you both. Yeah.
I would love to contribute a measly $1 per car at our most recent drive-through Rib Fest, but I don't have that kind of change, but I will make it $30 to represent the 3,000 cars that we put through at our most recent Rib Fest, or drive-through Rib Fest. This is our third. We keep improving every single way. We all know that it's easy to make money provided you manage your cost. And that's the biggest issue in large events. So the first event we made 15,000. The second one, we cut down our costs. We made 20,000. And the last one, we made 35,000. So We really did. And we also had the cars. The last two events, we didn't have 3,000 cars. And this year we did. And we ran out of, it was so successful. Unfortunately, we ran out of food. And because we were supposed to be open till 8 and we were only open till around 6. However, now we have the challenge in reference to Etobicoke drive-through Rib Fest that just finished last weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, at a church parking lot. You can imagine the size of this church parking lot in Etobicoke. They put through almost 6,000 cars. So, people are excited about being out and going for a nice drive and a nice day. And yeah, that's where my $30 comes from. Thank you.
Well, we're looking forward to doing just that. Wayne?
Yes, I have some significant happy bucks, but I'll extend that to the club when we have our first physical meeting. But I happy because this past weekend had to spend some time with my grandson, our grandson, and Eric is just graduated from Ottawa U, and he's going to get his master's degree in public safety. He is a member of the reserve, the military, and is with the psychological unit. I'm not just too sure what that's all about. So he's getting ongoing training, and he's working for the military this summer in Ottawa, recruiting new members to the armed forces. And his unit next summer is going to England, and he's going to have an opportunity of meeting the Queen. So we're kind of happy about that. Yeah.
Not at all proud there, Wayne. Not at all.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Oh, yeah, John, lastly, John.
Okay, I got 5 happy bucks. Last night we had the first of this year's president's meetings, and I think we had about 90% of the presidents attended from the district, and that was extremely encouraging, and I hope it continues. So I was happy.
And I tried to get on John for about 25 minutes and I had no access to it. So I'm gonna have to sort that out with Ron Dick.
Okay.
But I was trying. Okay, so Peter Kennedy, we are going to have a classification talk from one of our newest Rotarians. So Peter, I will over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Amy. This is my first classification, so you'll have to bear with me a bit. But first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to the club as a newest member, or one of the newest members. It's an honor to be here. I'm really looking forward to it. So for me, I live in the village of Newcastle. I've lived here for 6 years with my beautiful and amazing wife, Judy. We both love living in the village because it's so close to everything. You can walk everywhere. Between us, we have 6 kids with various significant others and 5 wonderful grandkids. The oldest being 9 and the youngest just 2 weeks old. So we have a new one. So I grew up in Ancaster, Ontario, a suburb of Hamilton, with mom and dad and 6 boys, living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. So of course, everybody always says, poor mom. But it was pretty cozy back in those days, let's just say. So I've always loved to travel ever since I was a teenager. Back in those days, it was, hanging out with my buddies, packed in the back of a van, heading out all over Ontario, Quebec, and points beyond. And then that's just progressed into a lifelong, love of traveling everywhere. And one of Judy and mine's most memorable trips was island hopping around the Mediterranean. This was a number of years ago now, but really watching the sunset off the cliffs of Santorini is really something to see, and I highly recommend it. So that was a great trip. In my younger days, I moved around a lot for my work. So I've lived in many places throughout Ontario, Alberta, and BC. And then I finally came back to Ontario, came back to my senses, I guess. And prior to moving to Newcastle, I lived in Baltimore, Ontario, for about 10 years before coming here. So I'm still fairly new to the area. 6 years in Clarington, and just loving it here and doing what I can to help out. So for my work, I spent most of the 80s, almost all of the 80s, on the road, learning my trade. I'm 40 plus years as a licensed millwright / handyman. I worked as a contractor in just about every major industrial plant in Canada, as well as many in the US. So I racked up many frequent flyer mile doing that over a 10-year period. I joined Ontario Hydro in 1990, first at the Bruce Heavy Water Plant in Bruce County. And then from there, Bruce A and B, Pickering A and B, and then finally coming to Darlington in 1999. It was a transfer. They were downsizing at the Bruce. If anybody remembers, at the time, they closed the heavy water plant. They were closing down parts of Bruce A. So with the downsizing, they moved everybody out. And then shortly afterwards, Bruce Power came in, took over operations, and they've been doing really well ever since under their own management without any help from OPG. So being with OPG, the way they are set up, they set up outage execution crews, and they support the different departments and different crews. I was involved with the turbine generator, reactor maintenance, fuel handling, most of the shops. So to borrow a kind of a sports term, I was told that one of my greatest strengths at that time was making sure that the team had a deep bench and that they could pull whenever and wherever they needed somebody. So I covered a lot of different roles with OPG. First as a technician, then as a lead hand. I did a lot of work with rad protection, work protection. I was part of the ERT, part of the fire department. I was a temporary supervisor, also temporary manager, basically doing whatever I can to help out the team. And then as you gain more experience, you're going to be called on more. And in the end, the last couple of years, I was a technical writer at OPG, writing maintenance procedures, both mechanical and electrical. Pretty interesting on the control side, electrical, because I'm a mechanic by trade. So I made it pretty interesting challenge to be writing electrical procedures. That was different for me. So as you can imagine, there's billions of bits of hardware in a nuclear plant that all have to work perfectly every time. So training and experience are critical in doing that. But so is a willingness to think outside the box when necessary and be able to try new things. You know, you're troubleshooting, things don't always go the way they're supposed to. You got to come up with new ideas. So while I was at the Bruce, our team received the President's New Technology Award for innovation. And we had designed and built a prototype tool for inspecting fuel channels that not only prolonged the life of the reactors, but saved thousands of man hours, improved safety, and saved millions of dollars. So after 28 years of service with Ontario Hydro and OPG, and with all the technical and safety training I'd received and that I later gave back as an instructor, when I retired from OPG in 2018, I was surprised to see that my list of training courses had grown to over 15 pages long. So I spent a lot of time in the classroom as well as out in the field. I saw a YouTube clip of the woman from Black and MacDonald giving a presentation to our club back in the spring. And I found that interesting that almost all of the jobs that her company was now doing as a contractor, I had personally done myself. So I found that a very interesting clip to watch and brought back a lot of memories for me. So it was also gratifying to know that in some small way, I may have helped set up the next team for success. And with new technology coming to Darlington, the future looks bright for Clarington. So these days, without much call for me to overhaul, fueling machines or lift 90-ton turbine rotors, I now support many local causes, both financially and by volunteering, whenever and wherever I can. I'm a past member of 100 Men of Oshawa, where I got to meet so many interesting people and worthy causes. And it was just a real awakening for me to see so many of these groups in our area. And I found that very satisfying. I was also a member and past chair of the Newcastle Memorial Arena Management Board. Involved with Community Care Durham and many other local good causes that were, there are so many people in the neighborhood that are in need of help, and we just do what we can to do what our little bit to help out. So my stepson is an amazing 20-year-old young man. He's autistic, he's nonverbal, he has a medical condition, and he needs full-time care for the rest of his life. Judy has started Autism Home Base Durham after Eric had aged out of school, and she didn't know what the future was going to look like for her youngest son. Many of you know Judy. She's been at the meetings, done presentations. Rotary has supported Autism Home Base for a number of years, which is always appreciated. So I'm really proud that Autism Home Base Durham now supports over 165 members, helping each other to live more fully. So as a little plug to them, you got to check out their Summer Palooza on their website. There's a lot of interesting programs that they're putting together. They have a number of summer students that are putting things together for the young adults. What I find helping out with this group, I do everything I can. I'm, a handyman, I'm a driver, I do this, I do that, whatever is needed. But I find that whatever I give to the group, I get back tenfold from them. Just being around these young people, it's been great for me. It's a real awakening. And I say young people, most of them are, they've aged out of school, so they are adults, they're 18 plus. The oldest member we had was a woman in her 50s, and her caregivers are in their 80s. So it is a lifetime endeavor. So when I'm not doing all that, I do like to get out hiking and biking, try to stay in shape. Just being out and about, I like to go out to all the local conservation areas. I'm down at Wilmot Creek a lot. I'm usually out and about, chasing Joe around, looking for birds. Or I'm just hanging with my grandkids, which I just love them to bits. So I guess the question is, why Rotary? Why would I join? Well, I've always admired Rotary's dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's just so many folks in our community and around the world that need help. And when enough people care enough and work hard enough, we can really do a lot to improve their lives. So that's what I'm here to do. And like you, I believe in service above self, and I think this club is a good fit for me. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And I'm really happy to be here. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was excellent. We are so happy to have you as part of our club. And don't worry, we are going to put all of those multiple talents that you have to excellent use as soon as we are able to.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'll bring my toolbox.
Perfect. All right. So I know there's probably questions for Peter. I'm going to slide over that for a moment, just because Rachel has, we have a guest on that Rachel's going to talk to, and I want to make sure that we have enough time. And listen, Peter, I'm hoping we're going to be in person soon. We'll be sitting around a table having a coffee, and can actually get to know people a little, our new members better.
Yeah.
But let's just slip over to Rachel, who's going to introduce us to Sharon.
Hey, I just would like to introduce Sharon Haynes. So everyone, welcome Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Sharon lives in Newcastle, and last year, Sharon and another woman in town named Joanne decided to do some fundraising to honor a local Newcastle resident, Donnie Meadows. And I'm going to try to share my screen. I think I'm going to try to. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, share. All right, can everybody see anything?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So Sharon, I'm gonna start asking you questions now, if that's okay with you. This is Sharon.
Yep, that's fine.
And yeah, this is the bench. So I want us first for you to tell us about Donnie Meadows, and then we can get into this bench and its importance and all that great stuff.
Okay, Donnie was a local resident in Newcastle his whole life. I've lived in Newcastle my whole life, and I don't ever remember Donnie not being a part of the community. Donnie faced some challenges as he got older, especially. He was just a little bit slower than some other people, but he had the biggest heart of anybody you ever met. He always had a joke, he always had a smile, and he always waved to everybody in town. Anybody that lived in Newcastle knew Donnie. He was just part of everybody's family. I worked for many years at a local variety store here in town, and every single day, Donnie Meadows would call me from Tim Hortons at 5 in the morning, 5:30 when I got to work, to make sure that I was there okay, and wanted to bring me a cup of tea and make sure I had breakfast. And every day he would buck down from Tim Hortons. And Tim Hortons was his place to hang. He was there all the time. So anybody that hung around at Tim Hortons in and out of there, I'm sure they saw Donnie there. He was just a really likable guy that everybody knew and everybody loved. Donnie passed away September 14th of 2020 of colon cancer, a day after his 72nd birthday. And everybody in the community, they were always, at the very end, he got to the point where he couldn't live with his sister in town because his sister was a little older than him and she wasn't able to take care of him. So they had to move him to Warncliffe, which is just sort of north of Bancroft. And he moved up with his niece, who was a PSW, and she took care of him till the last remaining days of his life. So that's kind of how we got the hospice part involved, because we thought that when Donnie had been that sick, he could have probably stayed in Newcastle and gone to the hospice if it had been built. So that's why we donated the other funds that we didn't use to build the bench with to the hospice.
That's amazing. So why do you think you got such amazing community support on this? I think you've kind of answered it already. Everybody.
Yeah, I think it's just, he was the type of guy that everybody knew, and you didn't walk by Donnie without him yelling and screaming, hi, how are you doing? He always waved and he always had a smile, and just one of those people in town that everybody knew. And he always had a joke and just a funny, nice guy. I think when little kids first met him, they didn't know how to take him and they didn't know who he was. But as soon as you got to know Donnie, all the kids loved Don. Just a man of incredible heart and soul.
Yes, he saved one of my sons when he was about 11 or 12 from a major embarrassing bathroom emergency at Tim Hortons. And where he's like, he told him, go into the handicap one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think everybody did recognize him and know him. So, and how do you feel, what do you think when you see people sitting on the bench outside of Tim Hortons?
Well, many a day you go by Tim Hortons and see Don was a smoker, and Donnie sat on the curb outside the doors of Tim Hortons smoking for as long as I can remember, sitting there talking to anybody that would talk to him and stuff. And I think the bench is just the perfect thing to honor him. And I think the other big thing was when Donnie passed away, his sister took his, went to the funeral home, and, she got talking to the guy, and the guy said, you don't have to buy an expensive urn if that's not what you want to do. You can put his ashes in anything. And she thought to herself, you know what? I have this big coffee Tim Hortons can at home. That's where his ashes are going. And that's the perfect place for Don. Don was the biggest fan of Tim Hortons, and Jay Summers, who runs the Tim Hortons here in town, he was there. He would clean the tables off. He would empty the garbages, anything that needed to be done. Don was there to lend a hand with anybody that needed anything around there. So I think it was very suitable for us to pick that spot for the bench. And I thought it was quite amazing when we found out that his ashes got put into a Tim Hortons can, and that's where he's kept.
I love that. I think that's very appropriate. And I know I have a friend that works at Tim Hortons who said that that Donnie would call when he couldn't visit anymore. He was calling the Tim Hortons to talk to the staff a couple times a day, and they loved it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So finally, Sharon, what do you think Donnie would think all this about this bench, everyone coming together, putting the money together, having extra money, all this wonderful
I think
stuff.
he'd be thrilled, and I think he'd be so thrilled to see people sitting on the bench. And I must say, it took a community to do it. Like, everybody in town was so wonderful. I work at No Frills in town now, and I talked to the owner about putting up a few posters about what we were doing, and the people that were coming into the store, and some people I had never even met, because there is a lot of newer people in town here. And, hey, I heard that you were collecting money for the bench, and I just want to support it. And even when we got to the point where we needed about $2,000 for the bench, we were well above it, and people still kept wanting to donate. And I said, well, okay, just so you know, anything above and beyond what we've raised, we're going to be giving to the hospice in Don's memory. So people were thrilled with that too. So it's just between John down at Rona, he let us put the bench down there when we first got it in, and it got delivered down there. And John made arrangements to have the big pad poured where the bench sits, by a company named Newton Concrete, who donated their time. A lady donated her time to make the posters that we put up. Joanne, who's the lady that kind of helped spearhead it with me, she did a phenomenal job of, kind of doing some of the legwork of finding out if we could put it where we did and things like that. So it really took a community and a village to get this done, and it was amazing to see everybody come together for it.
Sharon, thank you. Thank you for organizing the bench. I love it. I think it's a wonderful idea. And thank you for coming and staying for our whole meeting and telling us all about it. And I hope to see you back at a meeting another time, or at least around town.
Yes, I'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Yeah, and you're right. You don't need a fancy urn.
No.
You'd be surprised what I've put people's ashes in. So quite appropriate. All right. So we might have a couple of minutes. Does anybody have a question for Peter? Or are we going to save it for in person? I'm trying to scan. Yeah, okay. So announcements. I just want to remind the new board that our first meeting is next week. I'm working through figuring out how to do this, so bear with me. It'll be Zoom, of course. I'll send out a link for everybody. If anybody has any business, please let me know. And if we can get reports, I know probably haven't had meetings yet with your committees, which is fine. We're only 6 days in. But if we don't have meetings yet, if you can maybe put together some things that you're hoping to accomplish this year, or goals, hopes, that sort of thing, that would be great, that we can sort of build on from there. So is there any other announcements? I don't see nobody speaking up. No, we're good. Okay, so my ending is still sort of evolving.
Amy.
Sorry.
Kaylee was going to give an update.
Oh, Kaylee.
I think.
Sorry, Kaylee.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm just here to provide you guys with an update of what the summer squad has been working on this week and a bit of what we're going to be working on this week. So one of our biggest accomplishments last week was securing a location for 2 of our major events that are happening in July and August, which is the drive-in and the holistic day. So that's going to take place at Pingle's Farm. So we are quite happy about that. We've been working on collecting a ton of donations from people and businesses around the town for a raffle that we're organizing. So we have about 8 or 9 baskets that are pretty full, and we're going to be starting to raffle them off as a fundraiser, which should be happening, I think, by the end of this week or next week. So we're doing our usual visits to We Grow Food, which is this morning, and then Life tomorrow. But additionally, this week we're also helping out on Thursday at the Salvation Army from 8:30 to 4. So we're going to be helping them set up to reopen the store. They asked if we could help them with that. So we're going to be doing that. We've got started doing our respite visits last week, which are happening every Monday. So we've done 2 weeks of visits so far, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. The kids seem to be loving it, and we're having a lot of fun doing it as well. And then lastly, we've just each been working on planning our own events. We have 3 major ones happening in July, so we're trying to get everything planned and organized for that. And I think that's about everything for me. I hope everyone has a good week.
Excellent. Thanks, Kaylee. You guys are busy. I'm loving the Motivational Mondays too. That was really nice. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep up the good work, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. So I think now look at that. And within the hour, I'm going to do this, Steve. We're going to be good. So yesterday I received, I ordered a couple of pins. I don't know if you can see, I've got my women in Rotary. So, and I have one for the vice president as well. So, but I also got my new shirt, which is the Believe There's Good in the World, the Be the Good, along with a pin. And so I'm kind of incorporating that now into what I'm working on. So as we leave today, we help people. It's what we do. In order to give of yourself to others, we must first have something to give. So enjoy your life, have fun, be good to yourself. And as Theodore Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have, wherever you are. So there's nothing else for the good of Rotary. That will be the end of this meeting. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, President Amy. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.